You know, it's funny. When I first came across Survivor South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia, the three non American English speaking versions of Survivor, I was never really interested. Even when I finished watching all the seasons of US Survivor, I still wasn't interested. I guess a lot of this might have been due to just needing to take it all in after finally finishing all the seasons and didn't want to jump straight into a new series of Survivor. But even months after finishing US Survivor, I would start episode 1 of Australian or South Africa Survivor, and I couldn't even finish one episode. Something about not hearing Jeff's voice open up with the iconic 39 days one Survivor speech just didn't sit right with me. And just other little things, like these players aren't a part of the legacy that players such as Hatch and Boston Rob created in US Survivor, so it just felt off. I will also say that I did know the winner of Australian Survivor 2016, which was the only season available on YouTube at the time, so that might have had an impact on me, but I was spoiled on numerous Survivor US winners, and I still watched them thoroughly. Foreign Survivor just simply didn't feel right for me. I guess Foreign Survivor suffers from the fact that it's flat out different than US Survivor, no other way around it. Survivor South Africa Season 5, for example, you could steal people's hidden media idols. Survivor New Zealand's first season literally involves Redemption Island. Australian Survivor seasons are 50 to 55 days, episodes are usually an hour long, and there's 24 to 26 episodes with multiple non-elimination episodes. And while some people may love how different Foreign Survivor can be, I especially adore Australian Survivor nowadays during this long off-season. It can be a hard adjustment after watching so many US seasons. Sometimes, all we want to do is watch a fun, minimal twist Survivor season. And that brings us to, in my opinion, the best season of Foreign Survivor, Survivor South Africa Season 6, Philippines. I and many other people adore this season because even though there's no crazy big twist or foreign policy rules, this season is still so fun and unpredictable. As Corey Gage of Inside Survivor puts it, take a wacky cast of a train wreck season like Nicaragua or Gabon and throw them into an uber strategic setting like Cagayan, and that's South Africa, Philippines for you. Every episode this season besides the premiere and finale is 42 minutes, the usual time length of a US Survivor episode, and the season length as a whole is 16 episodes, which I guess is technically one more than a usual US season, but nonetheless, this is as close to a US Survivor paced season as there is in all of Foreign Survivor. And it felt like I was watching a normal US Survivor season. The editing and pacing is so far ahead of even just the previous season, South Africa Champions, that I almost couldn't believe it was the same franchise. And it helped that the season was shot in the Philippines, as the beaches, oceans, and camps were all super recognizable, as of course US Survivor has filmed 4 seasons in this location. As I said, this season doesn't have any major twists aside from your basic idols, extra votes, Exile Island, jury removals, things like that. But the season proves that you don't need any crazy twists or turns to make for a great season. But what really makes this season stand out from any other season in Survivor history is the editing. In US Survivor, if you've watched enough seasons, you can pretty much pick up on the basic editing tricks, like who's getting the winner's edit, who's getting the Fallen Angel edit, the Merge Boot edit, and so on and so forth. Survivor edits these people in a certain way to make it somewhat predictable as to why this person finished in that spot. For example, the Merge Boot is often a safe vote, when everyone in the Merge tribe can pick somebody to go home, who isn't beneficial to anyone's game. A perfect example of this is Wendell from Winners at War, as he was edited to be the villain of the season, when in reality he wasn't thought of as a bad guy out there by the other players, but the editors needed a good reason to explain his Merge Boot. The winner's edit is obvious at this point, as we'll always usually see these players as a hero no matter their personality, and we usually get the most insight from them strategically. South Africa Philippines throws that all out the window. South Africa edits these players exactly how they're shown and perceived, and don't try to edit in a way to make a player more likable or unlikable to fit the narrative of the season. They let the game play out on TV the same way it played out on the island. And that's why I think it's especially important to watch at least half the US Survivor seasons to fully appreciate this season. If you look at the casuals fans' reaction to this season, it's a mixed bag. Yeah, they might like the gameplay and characters, but the story is confusing to them in how it all played out. This is due to the casuals not understanding basic editing and storyline, combined with the fact that US Survivor has very cliche editing when it comes to a season narrative. Thus, while us diehards might love this season for how different the edit is, casual fans may not fully understand or appreciate it. As a diehard, or even simply a big fan, you're 100% confident where this season is going, and then BAM! You're left speechless, knowing the US editors would never have the balls to edit the show like the South African editors. And that's what makes this season stand out. Another thing I love about the edit is that it's not just the character narratives that the show doesn't mess with, it's the gameplay as well. I usually watch Survivor with my mother, And bless her heart, she still will ask questions at the end of the episode, like why Sarah didn't go home over Boston Rob, considering he was holding his alliance captive. Again, Survivor 2 often feels the need to spice things up, to where even the most obvious and simple votes need some drama for the viewer at home to keep them interested. The problem with this is, it leaves a casual fan, like my mom, confused at the result. In South Africa, Philippines, if there's a person on the chopping block or minority alliance who has no chance to save themselves, the editors don't hide that fact. It is clear as day why that person is going home, with not even a thought of another choice. Now, to be fair, this was even more prominent in the next season, South Africa Island of Secrets, as there were numerous times that season I felt the editors had the opportunity to make things a bit more mysterious as to who was going home. But even then, a superfan such as myself can generally tell who's going home during a tribal where there's multiple names, and I can respect seeing a more clear-cut gameplay, as opposed to the editors trying to confuse the viewer just to make things more interesting. But when things are up in the air, you know you're in for a wild tribal council. I don't want to get caught up in just the edit though. This season is great gameplay and character-wise as well. There's some moments in this season where you think you're playing the Survivor game Branch Steel, with just how ridiculous some of the gameplay is. Even the best players this season are doing things that you'd expect out of the Zane Knights of the world, and it's absolutely glorious. And yet, you can't get mad at these people, because everyone here is playing hard and to win, even if they're not making the strategically best decisions. Cast-wise, I actually do think there's a few players who are a bit overrated by the fans, but overall the cast is great, with some absolute locks if there ever is a future All-Star season of South Africa. I can't really say much more without spoiling the season, but I will say this. If the US editors were in charge of this season, I think most people would have this as a pretty good season, as opposed to a great season. There's fun characters with some absolute chaotic tribal councils and amazing blindsides, but there are also some really slow rounds as well. Even while you're watching, you'll probably be thinking, this is a good season, but I don't get why so many people think it's one of the best seasons ever. But by the end, you'll most likely join me and so many others in the opinion that Survivor South Africa Philippines is a top tier season of Survivor. If you want to watch this season, almost every episode besides the premiere and the finale is on the YouTube channel Andrea B, and there's also a Facebook group called The Tribe Has Spoken, where you can watch not only this season, but every single season of Foreign Survivor. All you have to do is create a Facebook account, ask to join, and you'll be good to go. I'll put a link to both in the description. Also, let me know if you guys would like a week-by-week breakdown of Survivor South Africa Immunity Island, or just general thoughts of the season every once in a while. This of course will be the first new Survivor season in over a year, so it will be exciting to talk about no matter how the season plays out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you'll be watching Survivor South Africa Philippines in the near future. If you like what you see, then hit that like and subscribe button for Survivor and reality TV content weekly, and spread the word of my channel to all your friends and family. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next time.